Oh, sorry, I think my mic was mute, so you might not have listened whatever I said so far. So once again, I will repeat all those things. So once again, good morning, very good morning to all, and welcome back to our discussion on heat transfer. I was taking a review of what we covered in the last week. In last week, we had about six lectures, and in those six lectures we covered a major part of the conduction. In that we completed the derivation of Fourier's law, then applied the Fourier's law for three standard different cases: conduction through plane wall, conduction through hollow cylinder, and conduction through hollow sphere. So three important and very basic equations we derived for three standard cases. All those you have to well remember. Then we covered the concept of thermal resistance uh, by setting up the analogy between electrical circuit and thermal circuit or mechanical heat transfer circuit. From that, we also derived important and basic equations for thermal resistances for three standard cases: the same plane wall, hollow cylinder, and hollow sphere. So, so we obtained three important equations for thermal resistance for a plane wall, thermal resistance for a plane hollow cylinder, and thermal resistance for a hollow sphere. Same theory we extended to convection heat transfer. In that also we obtained the relation for thermal resistance during convection. So that becomes 1 upon h into H being heat transfer coefficient, A and A the surface area. Then we with by extending the same theory, we covered the concept of overall heat transfer coefficient U, a new factor we introduced, and we also well defined that U, overall heat transfer coefficient, is actually used whenever there is a combined mode of heat transfer. When we have combined conduction and convection together occurring in the same situation, we use a combined factor called the overall heat transfer coefficient that combines the effect of conduction as well as convection. So it covers conductivity of material and convection heat transfer coefficient H. So both effects can be seen. So that also we obtained. Then in the last lecture on Thursday, we we discussed the generalized differential equation in heat conduction Cartesian coordinates. I hope you are able to see the screen. I will once again share my entire screen so that you will have a clear view of what we are discussing. So this is the screen. I hope you are able to see the screen.
Sir, screen is not visible.
Screen is still not visible.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. I am refreshing this. Now please check from your side and give me confirmation. Now you see the change?
No, sir.
Still no?
No, sir.
Sir, this is screen.
Screen दिसते?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
PDF file दिसते का
Screen is
generalized
visible.
So,
No, sir.
generalized differential equation of heat
heat conduction in
conduction
Cartesian
in.
coordinates
Yes,
दिसते
sir.
का हे?
Screen is. Yes, sir.
सगळ्यांना दिसतंय? कुणाला दिसत नाहीये जरा बघा आणि एकदा रिफ्रेश करा.
सर मला दिसत नाही सर. एंड कॉल करून परत जॉईन होतो सर मग.
हा परत जॉईन व्हा. रिजॉईन व्हा, काय प्रॉब्लेम नाही. बाकी सगळ्यांना दिसतंय? मेसेज बॉक्स मध्ये रिप्लाय दिला तरी चालेल. नो प्रॉब्लेम. To avoid disturbance, I will mute mute you all. Okay, fine. So we had covered this part, and we went through the full derivation of this equation. This is very, very important. In fact, what we do is we apply the first law of thermodynamics for a small elemental volume in a Cartesian coordinate, and we consider the conduction heat transfer happening in all three directions. In all three directions. Initially, when we started our study, we discussed in only one direction. When we discussed the Fourier's law, we took the cases of only one-dimensional heat transfer. That is just to understand the logic first, or just to understand the concept first, in a simple and easy manner. Once that is understood, we can extend our study in study for other aspects, such as we can expand it to the heat conduction or heat transfer occurring in all possible directions. Because in practice, whenever heat transfer takes place, it will happen in all possible directions. All three dimension heat transfer cases are there, because wherever there is a temperature difference or temperature gradient available, heat transfer is going to take place in that direction. So, discussing this generalized case, we consider all heat transfer, heat conductions in all three direction, in x direction, in y direction, and z direction. Then we considered the heat generation aspect within the element or within the mass. Uh, then what we did is, uh, what net effect is what net effect will happen due to heat conduction and heat conduction in and heat conduction out, and as well as heat generation for this element. Then we set up the equation of energy balance, and by doing that some mathematical operation or mathematical steps, we obtained a generalized differential equation that gives the energy balance equation for a heat conduction in all three dimensions, and also it covers the case of unsteady state heat transfer. Now, unsteady state heat transfer means where temperatures are going to change with respect to time. Temperatures are going to change with respect to time. Okay, so this is the equation we obtained, very general form. So it is in partial differential form. This is a partial differential equation, and since this is the generalized equation, we can obtain any specific case from this general equation. If we apply certain conditions and if we apply certain conditions and use the conversions accordingly, in that case we can obtain any specific equation pertaining to specific case. So this is a general equation, and from this general equation, by applying suitable conditions, particular conditions, we can obtain special equations for different specific cases. Okay, that we are going to see today. So this is a generalized equation uh, in in Cartesian coordinates, which covers all three dimensions and all aspects of heat transfer. The same way we we derived a general differential equation in in cylindrical coordinates. Okay, this is just another coordinate system, because cylindrical objects such as pipes, tubes, all they have radius, all they have radius, and they have circular form. So for a circle, to cover the circular form, we need to define radius and as well as the angular rotation. That is why the coordinates change from simple xyz to r, theta, and linear direction, that is z. Okay, you just imagine any cylindrical object like a cylindrical bar or cylindrical bottle. It has a cut section, it has a circle. So circle has a radius, and circle means a rotation of 360 degrees. So angular dimension is there, and cylinder also has a vertical axis. Cylinder has a linear dimension, that is vertical axis. Okay, so these three dimensions or three variables we have to consider The same thing we did here. Actually, this derivation will not be asked in exams for you. It it is uh, it is that only you have to understand how it is derived, what are the steps taken, and how what logic and what basic concepts are used while deriving the equation. What you have to remember is the final form of equation, final generalized equation. So this is this. Uh, this is a partial differential equation. Only the variables are changed, like r, theta, and z. Okay. The same can be extended to generalized differential equation in a spherical coordinates. In a spherical coordinates. Again, for a sphere you can imagine you can imagine a ball or any spherical item. So it will be characterized by its radius. So a sphere, you see a sphere or ball in any direction, it seems a circle. It looks like a circle. So it has a radius. It has one. It has now sphere will have two angles. One angle in vertical plane and the other angle in horizontal plane. So coordinates are r, theta, and phi. R radius, theta the angle in vertical plane, and phi the angle in horizontal plane. Okay, so these are all geometrical aspects or geometrical parameters. Then when we apply the same, we obtain a generalized differential equation in this form. Okay, so with this now, what we are going to do today is we will use the generalized differential equation and we will derive uh, we will we will apply it for simple cases. Simple cases can be equations of simple cases can be derived from generalized equations. Okay, in that we are going to see one dimensional steady state conduction equations. One dimensional steady state conduction equations. Now, so title will be like this: reduction of generalized differential equation to one dimensional steady state condition. Okay, so steady state unidirectional means one dimensional conduction without heat generation. So cases will be without heat generation. So first case is derivation of temperature distribution and heat transfer rate for a plane wall in Cartesian coordinates. Okay, so for a plane wall, actually this we had done while applying Fourier's law for this general case and obtained the equation of heat transfer directly from Fourier's law. Now we will do this by using the generalized differential equation and applying suitable conditions to it. Okay. So the plane wall will look like this. Plane wall has a thickness of b. In it is actually a infinite plane wall, so the height will be very large, and the depth is not shown in this diagram. We are looking at the cut section. Depth will be perpendicular to the plane of this paper. It will extend in this direction, perpendicular to the plane of screen or plane of paper. And we are looking only at the thickness. The thickness B is very small for any plane wall. Thickness is very small, very small as compared to the length and height of the wall. Okay, so this space is at temperature T1 and this space is at temperature T2. Full thickness is B. Let us say x is equal to 0 is this origin and x equal to b, the full, across the full width of the wall or full thickness of the wall. uh, the right face is at x equal to b. Heat transfer is taking place from high temperature to low temperature, so heat transfer rate by conduction uh, passing through the plane wall in this direction along the positive x direction. Since this is a one-dimensional heat conduction, we are considering only positive x direction. Okay. Now see, consider a plane wall of thickness B having conductivity K. Thermal conductivity of this material is K. Now we have boundary conditions, two important boundary conditions. T1, temperature of left face at x equal to 0, temperature will be T1, and x equal to B, that is right face, temperature will be T2. Now general differential equation can be put up like this: dabba square t by dabba x square plus dabba square t by dabba y square plus dabba square t by dabba z square plus q bar by k equal to 1 upon alpha into dabba t by dabba t. Okay. Now now this indicates this is temperature gradient in x direction, this is in y direction, this is in z direction, and q bar is the heat generation, internal heat generation in the in the in the object or in the material. Then 1 upon alpha thermal diffusivity into dabba t by dabba t, that is rate of change of temperature of the plane wall with respect to time t. Okay. Now from this, this equation will reduce, that is some of the terms will get cancelled out because we are applying a specific condition. Uh, we are applying the specific condition of one dimensional conduction. So one dimensional means we will consider only in x direction. So this these two terms will get cancelled because they will turn to 0. Then there is no heat generation, so q bar will be 0. So this term will get cancelled out. Then we are assuming it is a steady state, so temperature is remaining constant. So with respect to time, derivative will be 0. Okay. So when we apply these conditions, one dimensional steady state and without heat generation, uh, these these four terms get cancelled out. This conduction in heat, that is conduction in y direction not possible. So temperature gradient is 0 in y direction, temperature gradient in z direction is 0, then heat generation is 0, this term 0, and right hand side also 0 because temperature is being held constant or maintained steady. So with respect to time there is no change, so dabba t by dabba t will be 0. So all these four terms get cancelled out. What remains is dabba square t by dabba x square equal to 0. Okay, very simple form of equation we get, very simple and nice form of equation because we applied these specific conditions. Okay, one dimensional heat transfer, so this only this will remain. These two get 0. No heat generation, so this is 0. No no change in temperature with respect to time, that is steady state. So this will turn to 0. Now this is a second order differential equation. Now to obtain uh, the algebraic equation of a temperature, we have to integrate it and then we have to find, by applying the limits we have to find constants and then we can get the final form of equation. So integrating this with respect to x, for first integral we get it as dabba t by dabba x is equal to c1 because integration of 0 something, that will be 0, plus we have to add uh, the constant c1. Whenever we integrate we have to add some constant c1. Equation number 2. Now we will again integrate this differential form to obtain temperature T, integrating again. So dabba T by dabba T, dabba x, when we integrate it, we get T on left side is equal to C1 into x plus C2. C1 into x plus C2. Okay. Now there was, because there was, just a minute. Because there was a c1 constant here on right hand side, so into 1, integral of 1 is x. Okay, so c1 x plus another constant c2. Now we have to find constant c1 and c2. To find c1 and c2 we need some boundary conditions. Okay, so we need some boundary conditions. We know two boundary conditions here. We have two unknowns and we can apply two boundary conditions in the form of temperature. So at x equal to 0 we have temperature T equal to T1 and at x equal to B T equal to T2. Okay, let us apply the boundary condition in equation 3. So for T equal to T1 is equal to x is 0, so C1 into 0 0 plus C2. So from this we get C2 equal to T1. So value of C2 will be T1. One constant is found. Equation number 4. For second equation, for second boundary condition, T2 equal to C1 into B, because x is equal to now B. Here at x equal to B, so C1 into B plus C2 is equal to C2 is T1. From this we have already found out. So T2 equal to C1 into B plus T1. Then C1 equal to T2 minus T1 upon B. Okay, for now we found out the constant values C2 and C1 like this. C2 T is T1 and C1 is equal to T2 minus T1 upon B. Now we can put these two constants, constant values in a general equation of temperature T, that is equation 3. We will put C1 value and C2 value that we have obtained in the form of temperature. So we get T equal to T2 minus T1 upon B into X plus T1, equation number 6. Now what it gives? This equation gives the temperature distribution in the slab or in the wall at any distance X. Okay, so the wall width or wall thickness is ranging from 0 to B, and if you put any value for x uh, from 0 to B, you are going to get the temperature of that location. Let us say if you put x equal to half width, that is x equal to B by 2, that is at the midpoint or mid plane of the wall. If you put x equal to B by 2, you will get the temperature, you will get the value of temperature uh, at that mid plane. If you put x equal to B by 4, that is one fourth of the width, at the one fourth of the width, uh, you will get the temperature at that point or at that location. So, so temperature distribution means at any distance x or at any thickness of x, you can easily get the value of temperature. Okay, provided that because width is known and temperature T1 and T2 are also known. Okay, so in more general form, it is given like this. It is just a rearrangement. This T1 is taken to left side, so T minus T1 divided by this term, that is T2 minus T1 equal to x upon B. So so from this, we know that we get the idea that temperature profile will be linear. Temperature profile will be linear. That is T proportional x. So if we plot the graph of temperature versus distance, we are going to get a line. We are going to get a linear graph. Okay, this. Okay, this is nothing but this inclined line joining from T1 to T2 is a straight line. It is a straight line, straight inclined line, and it is a line. Okay, it is for showing a linear form, and this is confirmed by the equation. In equation we have got simple algebraic form, so this is a linear equation. Okay, or linear temperature distribution. Now with this, we can find rate of heat transfer. Now rate of heat transfer by Fourier's law is given q equal to minus ka dt by dx. Let us say equation number 8. But okay, so this dt by dx can be found uh, from the earlier values. We had integrated this and we had obtained this. So dt by dx is equal to c1. dt by dx is equal to c1. So this equation number 2 we can put here. dt by dx equal to c1, and value of c1 we obtained t2 minus t1 upon b. Okay, so we have to simply insert this value here. So q equal to minus ka t2 minus t1 upon b. So this is replaced by this. Just rearranging the terms, that is minus sign taken into inside, so, and this is reversed t1 minus t2. So we get q equal to plus ka upon b into t1 minus t2. This is the same. This equation is very similar to the equation we had obtained or we had derived using Fourier's law. We had done this in initial part in earlier lecture when we studied the Fourier's law, and when we applied the Fourier's law for the case of plane wall, we directly obtained this relation. Okay, and now it is seen that uh, by using the generalized differential equation, we can obtain the temperature profile, and using this temperature profile, we can also get to the same equation. So you go by direct method or by a general method, you are going to get the same equation. Okay, we are going to get the same equation. So this is clear that if we use the generalized form of a differential equation, and if we properly apply the conditions, suitable conditions for particular cases, we are going to get the same equation. Okay, we are going to get the right and very correct form of equations. Okay. In the same way, case number 2, in this derivation of we will see the derivation of temperature distribution and heat transfer rate for a hollow cylinder for a cylindrical coordinates. Okay. Now for this, again we are going to consider one dimensional heat transfer, and this for a hollow cylinder there are three dimensions. One is radial direction, second one is angular direction theta, and third direction is axial direction z. Out of this we are going to see radial direction r. Okay. So consider a hollow cylinder of thermal conductivity K. So hollow cylinder, so it has the inner surface and outer surface, and inner radius and outer radius. And we are looking at the cut section or cross section of the pipe or cross section of a hollow cylinder. Otherwise, if we want to show the length, we have to show it in a 3D, and length will extend up to in a perpendicular direction to the plane of paper. Okay. Let us say inner surface temperature is T1, which is on higher side, and outer surface temperature is T2 on lower side. Because of temperature gradient in radial direction, that is dt by dr, heat transfer, heat conduction will occur. And since we are saying it is a steady state conduction, temperatures will remain constant, that is T1 and T2 will remain the same as long as heat transfer is occurring, or as long as the this case or experiment is occurring. So with respect to time, temperatures will not change. Okay. uh, with these notations, the generalized differential equation of cylindrical coordinates is given like this: 1 upon r dabba by dabba r of r dabba t by dabba r plus 1 upon r square dabba square t by dabba theta square plus dabba dabba square t by dabba z square plus q bar by k is equal to 1 upon alpha dabba t by dabba t. Okay. Now we are considering the heat conduction in radial direction only. So this term will remain, and the other two conduction in other two directions is not possible because temperature gradient is 0 in those directions. That is dabba t by dabba theta is 0, and dabba t by dabba z is also 0. So no heat conduction in theta direction, z direction. So these terms get cancelled out. There is no internal heat generation. There is no internal heat generation. So q bar is 0. So this term comes to 0. And since it is a steady state, so dabba t by dabba t will also be 0. Okay, the small t is actually the time, right? And the capital T is the temperature. Okay, so these four terms get cancelled out. So what remains is 1 upon r dabba by dabba r of r dabba t by dabba r equal to 0. Okay, now so that this generalized differential equation is reduced to uh, very simple form, because the case we have taken is very simple. That is one by applying these conditions, one dimensional steady state and without heat generation. So by applying these conditions, these specific conditions, we get this very simple form of equation. Now we can solve this. We can integrate this because it is a uh, simple partial differential equation. Okay, let us call it equation number 1. Now r being a variable and some positive value, it can be taken to right hand side. So r into 0 will turn to 0. So what remains is only dabba by dabba r of r dabba t by dabba r. Okay, this is equation 1. We will first integrate it with respect to r, first integration. So when we integrate, so this on left side it remains r into dabba t by dabba r equal to constant c1. Okay, equal to some constant c1. Again, this r is taken to right side, so dabba t by dabba r equal to c1 upon r. This comes out as c1 upon r. So this is equation number 2. Let us integrate it again with respect to r. So on left hand side we are left with t, and on right hand side integration of 1 upon r is log r, log to the base e r, or sometimes it is it is written as ln, that is natural log. Log e is also valid, or if you write only ln is it is also valid. So c1 into log of r plus c2, another constant c2. So this is a general expression or general equation we obtain for temperature T. Let us call it equation 3. Now we want to find, we have to find constants C1 and C2, so that we can replace values of C1 C2, and then we can get the specific equation for temperature T. We have now boundary conditions. To find C1 and C2, constant C1 C2, we have to use boundary conditions. One is at radius r1, temperature is T1. The other at outer radius r2, temperature is T2. Okay, these two boundary conditions can be put in this equation 3. So using first boundary condition in equation 3, T1 equal to C1 into log of R1 plus C2. Then using second boundary condition in equation 3, T2 equal to C1 into log of R2 plus C2. Okay. Uh, Here we cannot cancel out, we cannot simply cancel out any constant or any C1 C2 from these two equations. So we have to solve these equation 4 and 5 simultaneously. Uh, okay, then for this we subtract equation 5 from 4. So on left hand side we get T2 minus T1, or this minus this, so T1 minus T2 on left side equal to C1 of C1 into log R1 minus log R2. By using the logarithmic form, we can write C1 into log of R1 by R2. It can be written as a ratio. C2 will get cancelled. Okay, C2 minus C2 will get cancelled. So we get, from this we get C1 equal to T1 minus T2 upon this term taken to denominator. So T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2, equation number 6. So one constant is obtained. Using this we can obtain the other constant. Now we can put the value of C1 in equation 4. So we get T1 equal to T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2. This is actually C1 into log of R1 plus C2. From this, C2 can be obtained. C2 equal to T1 minus this term, T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2 into log of R1. Let us call it equation 7. Now, as we obtained the C1 and C2, both constant values C1 and C2, we can put them in equation 3, general equation 3. So temperature T equal to T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2. This is the constant C1 into log of R plus T1. Uh, this entire value is C2. That is T1 minus T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2 into log of R1. You can compare this entire term this C2 equal to this entire right hand side. This is coming here. Okay, so this is nothing but C2, and uh, C1 is this only, C1 into log of R. So we can cancel out some of the terms from this, and we can rearrange the terms, and we get T equal to T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2 into log of R upon R1. Okay, this is now taken here in denominator. So log of R upon R1 plus T1, log of R plus T1. Okay, equation number 8. Then in more general form, we can express in the form of temperature differences. Now from this equation we can easily find temperature at any radius between R1 and R2. Okay, if this is the variable R, if you put any value of for R between R1 to R2, we are going to get the temperature at that location, at that plane of a hollow cylinder or a hollow pipe or hollow tube. This the same equation now rearranged like this: T minus T1. This T1 is taken to left hand side, so T minus T1 upon this this term taken out as common and divided it, put in denominator. So T minus T1 upon T1 minus T2 equal to log of R upon R1 upon log of R1 by R2. Okay, so equation number 9. Above equation gives the temperature distribution across the thickness of hollow cylinder from R1 to R2. Now it shows that it is a logarithmic, there is a logarithmic term, so temperature profile will be logarithmic. Okay. In plain wall, it was a simple algebraic case, so it was a linear. Now, since there is a logarithmic term in this equation, the temperature profile will be logarithmic in nature. So that is why if we plot, the same is shown in this diagram. If we take the plot, that is on y-axis temperature T and on x-axis radius R. Okay, for T versus R, if we plot the graph, we are going to get this logarithmic curve. Logarithmic curve means it will not be a straight line. If we plot it on a graph paper, we will get this curved line. Okay, so T1 to T2 will be shown in a curve, and so this is a logarithmic curve. It is not a straight line. Okay. Now heat transfer rate can be obtained like this: Q equal to minus Ka dt by dr by applying the Fourier's law. Then dt by dr, from earlier steps in derivation, we have obtained it is dt by dr equal to C1 upon R equal to T1 minus T2 upon log of R1 by R2 uh, into 1 upon R. We can put this uh, we can put this in equation 10. So dt by dr is replaced by this big expression. So Q equal to minus K. Again, area, surface area of the cylinder is 2 pi RL. So area will be placed like this: minus K 2 pi RL, and dt by dr is this entire relation. Okay. So from this, we will cancel out the common terms such as R and R will get cancelled. So what remains is this. Now here this is T1 minus T2 and there is a minus sign. Okay, now this minus sign can be adjusted in denominator. This ratio is R1 by R2. That is, R1 is smaller radius, inner radius, and R2 is a outer radius. So R1 is less than R2. We can reverse this ratio. We can write ln of R2 by R1. So this minus sign can be adjusted here. So this minus sign is taken uh, inside the bracket, and this ratio is written in reverse order. Okay, so log of R2 by R1, and in numerator we have T1 minus T2. So this way we get Q equal to 2 pi KL into T1 minus T2 upon log of R2 by R1. So this is the same, very very much the same equation that we obtained now. The same equation we had obtained by applying Fourier's law directly. By applying directly the Fourier's law to hollow cylinder case. Okay, in the earlier lectures, when we actually directly derived these equations of heat transfer for a plain wall, for a hollow cylinder, and for a hollow sphere by direct application of a Fourier's law, and only taking it in a one-dimensional heat transfer. Okay, so this equation or that equation, both are the same and cases are the same. Only the way how they are derived are different. Here we have derived this entire equation from the generalized form of equation and applying suitable conditions, and that case was direct application of Fourier's law. Okay, the same way we can proceed for derivation of temperature distribution and heat transfer rate for a hollow sphere. Now this we have to use generalized equation in spherical coordinates. We have to use the generalized differential equation in spherical coordinates. Again, if you take the cross section of a sphere, it will look like a hollow two circles. Inner radius R1 for inner sphere and outer radius R2 for outer sphere. Temperature is T1 on inner surface and temperature T2 on outer surface, and temperature gradient is available in radial direction. So heat transfer or heat conduction is occurring from inner face to outer face as shown here. Okay, and conductivity of sphere material is K. This is happening because temperature T1 is greater than T2 and temperature gradient is there in radial direction. So generalized differential equation we can put up like this: 1 upon r square dabba by dabba r of r square dabba t by dabba r. So this is conduction in r direction. 1 upon r square sine theta dabba by dabba theta of sine theta dabba t by dabba theta. This is in theta direction, and plus 1 upon r square sine square theta into dabba square t by dabba phi square. This is conduction in phi direction, that is third direction, plus q bar by k, that is internal heat generation, equal to 1 upon alpha dabba t by dabba t. This represents the unsteady state of heat transfer. Here we are applying the conditions of steady state, so this term will be 0 on right hand side. It is one dimensional, that is in radial direction heat transfer. So these two term will get 0, theta direction 0 and phi direction 0. Then heat generation is absent, there is no heat generation, so q bar will also be 0. Okay, so one dimensional steady state heat conduction without heat generation can be reduced to this simple form. Uh, so 1 upon r square into dabba by dabba r of r square dabba t by dabba r equal to 0. We can further simplify this r square by multiplied on right, so it will 0. Then dabba by dabba r of r square dabba t by dabba r. This is the equation number 1. Now we can integrate. First integrate with respect to r. So we get r square dabba t by dabba r equal to c1. On right side 0, we get only constant of integration c1. Then again dabba t by dabba r written like this: dabba t by dabba r equal to c1 upon r square. This r square is taken on right hand side. Equation 2. Again we can integrate the second time and apply. Okay, so we get t equal to integration of this, integration of 1 upon r square will be, this r square will come in numerator, so r raised to minus 2, and apply the formula that x raised to n, integration of x raised to n is given by uh, x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So here is n is minus 2, so r raised to minus 2 plus 1, so r it will be r raised to minus 1, and in denominator it will be in denominator it will be minus 2 plus 1, so that makes minus 1. Okay, so that is why this minus sign is coming from this. So minus 2c1 upon r, uh, okay, plus c2 in okay, and another constant c2 is applied. Now constant c1, here we get 2c1. We can say, because it is only a constant, if you say 2c1 or only c1, it doesn't make any difference. So for us it is only a constant, so we can replace 2c1 by only simply by c1. Okay. So t equal to minus c1 upon r plus c2. This is equation 3. Now we have two boundary conditions. To obtain constant values c1 and c2, we have to apply two boundary conditions, and we have boundary conditions like this: at radius r equal to r1, inside temperature T is T1, and at radius r equal to r2, outer surface radius, temperature is T2. We can put these two boundary conditions in equation 3, and we can obtain the separate values for C1 and C2. Okay, all those steps I will not discuss again, because the procedure is same. Okay, this PDF I'm going to share you on Google Classroom, so you can go through all these steps, because I have already explained for two earlier cases. It is just a matter of applying the same procedure or same steps to this third case. So you can obtain the C1 and C2 in the same way. Okay, so the general steps are same as we have seen while solving any partial differential equation and obtaining constants and C1, C2, and then applying it in integration, and then finally you get the final algebraic equation. Okay, This I think you have already done in Maths 3. M3 there were such problems where you solved these partial differential equations, and you have applied various mathematical techniques while solving them, and so that procedure is very same or very similar. Only you have to follow those steps and procedure and to obtain constant values, and then get the general or specific or particular solution, particular equation for a temperature distribution. Okay. So finally we get temperature distribution in this form: T minus T1 upon T2 minus T1 equal to this ratio. So this for any radius r between r1 and r2, we can obtain temperature value T. Okay. So uh, it is followed that uh, it is a parabolic curve. Okay, because there will be r square term, and r square term means it is a parabolic curve. So if we plot the temperature graph, that is T versus radial distance, we are going to get a curve, uh, temperature profile as a curve, temperature distribution as a curve, and that will be parabolic in nature. It will not be a straight line, it will be parabolic. So heat transfer rate, again by applying Fourier's law and using the dt by dr value from derivation, we can finally get to the this equation: q equal to 4 pi k r1 r2 upon r2 minus r1 into t1 minus t2. This formula we had already obtained by direct formulation, that is by direct application of Fourier's law for a one dimensional conduction through hollow sphere, that we had already obtained. So both formulae are same, only the ways of derivation are different. Here we derived this by from the general differential equation in cylindric spherical coordinates, and in earlier case we had obtained by direct application of Fourier's law. Okay, so this way we complete our we complete this part of discussion, that is how to obtain the particular case specific equations from the generalized differential equation. Okay, how to use the general differential equation and how to apply specific conditions pertaining to the cases, and from by using those and by applying the boundary conditions, we can get to any solution. We can solve any kind of a problem by just only we have to apply the particular conditions or particular situation. Okay, so here we saw that how the generalized differential equation can be reduced to one dimensional steady state heat conduction without heat generation, without internal heat generation. Okay. Okay. So with this we will stop our today's discussion, and we will carry on forward from the same point. Only from the tomorrow's lecture, make sure that you join before time. It's my advice to you will be join at least 5 minutes before the actual start of the lecture. Okay, so that will save some time for us, and we can straight away start on the right time. Okay, let me uh, download your attendance, record and download your attendance for today. Attendance is compulsory, so you have to be careful about your attendance. So don't miss or don't skip the lectures. That all those things will are going to be monitored. So don't take it too lightly. Already uh, we have passed 2 weeks, or about 10 lectures have been over. About 10 lectures have been over. So uh, considerable amount of time has spent. So from today, from this lecture onward, or from tomorrow, we have to maintain your attendance. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's for today. You can leave now.